Yeah.
Right.
Nice. Yeah, it's Taco Tuesday, and we are here. And right now, we got a full load of technical glitches going on inside the studio. So bear with us as we jump on the air, probably about 30 seconds late. But nonetheless, we are here. And I'll just tell you right now, the doings in the studio. And by the way, we're up on the live stream now, so that's good.
Yep, the live stream is rolling, and the radio may or may not be rolling. We're trying to figure that out.
Hey, JP, how you doing?
Doing all right.
Trial by fire, brother.
Love when technology just randomly decides
Technology
to not
makes
work.
our life so much better. Well, listen, nonetheless, we're doing a show, and I hope you guys are having a great day with us. So I got a great lineup for you. No guests today because I had some content that was so deep I wanted to just dive right in and play you some audio clips to go right along with it. But nonetheless, let me hit some triple dipper. Just hit it, buddy.
The Triple Dipper. 3 stories you've got to know.
That's right, the Triple Dipper, 3 stories, 3 themes, if you will, that you got to know as we run today's show. Number 1, I'm calling it the awkward moments. Awkward moments. Listen, sometimes awkward is, innate. You can't possibly deal with it. It's just like social skills are not developed. Other times, awkward is just self-inflicted. Like the kind where you get that kind of secondhand cold sweat going because somebody just did something, you look at it and go, oh, that is awkward. Well, the Kamala Harris campaign appears to be filled up with awkward moments right now. It's like they are stepping all over themselves. And we're going to talk about some of those and even play you a few audio clips. Awkward moments, number 1 on the Triple Dipper. Number 2, election integrity. So there are several things that have happened, some of which have been what I would call one-offs. There are things you look at and go, that wasn't good, but it's not national or not even statewide, but like things like ballot boxes catching fire. And then there's other things that have happened, not the least of which is the fact that you've got any number of court rulings right now that are saying you can do it this way here, but you have to do it that way over there. And I'm looking at it going, election integrity is a huge deal. And we need to make sure that we've got not a patchwork quilt of unmatched resolutions and court orders. Let's try to have something with congruity across state lines. Wouldn't that be amazing? Election integrity, that's number 2 on the Triple Dipper. And then number 3, if I can get to it, saving Title IX. Y'all, at every single day, it seems, the left has lost their ever-loving minds. And the fact that women are now having to compete against men who pretend that they're women, and then the men who pretend that they're women take all the women's medals, I look at it and go, my God, when is someone going to wake up and go, you know what? Really, common sense doesn't even apply here anymore, apparently. Well, there's a lot of folks waking up to that. And I got some great stories to go along with it. Number 3 on the Triple Dipper, save Title IX. All right, well, let me jump on in now to the Rightside Way monologue, and I'll just remind you guys that the Rightside Way is every single day me putting my thoughts down and bringing them to you to open up the show. And I got to say, generally speaking, I would hazard that there's 2 main reasons for someone to lie about anything. Either 1, the person is fearful of what will happen if the truth is known, or 2, they don't think the listeners of the lie can handle the truth. Well, both reasons are awful, and both of them breed distrust and uncertainty. And truth is also a character indicator. What is their reputation for truthfulness and veracity, you may ask? When they become known for lies, it is generally considered a stain on their character, right? A person's propensity for truthfulness, it actually matters. If someone is, scared that other people will dislike them because they actually tell the truth, well, how do you face that? It means they don't have strength of character. They don't have the ability to handle the truth. Would you want someone to be in charge of your life, your job, your church, your politics if they didn't have the spine to see bad news and deal with it head on? Well, there's an old saying that I was taught as a young Army officer that bad news does not get better with time. Real leaders actually confront the consequences and deal with them. Cowards put their head in the sand, hope it all goes away. And a lie is the quick way of putting one's head in the sand. But the other one, the grounds for a lie being built on the notion that others who could be impacted by the truth can't handle it, well, that's an arrogance. There's an arrogance in that. It's like the arrogant character played by Jack Nicholson in A Few Good Men who shouted with disgust in open court that you can't handle the truth. It shows a disdain, a dislike, a distrust of others, which somehow then rationalizes that the lie should be uttered. So again, Liars fear the impact of the truth, or 2, liars don't trust or believe in others to handle the truth, so they lie. And like I said, neither excuse is excusable. And by the way, don't be fooled by the old adage that there's a possibility of a little white lie. I mean, years ago, when I was a rookie lawyer, I was working for an older lawyer who'd been trying cases for years. I'll never forget, one day I was assisting him in trial, and we had just caught the opposition in an actual lie on the stand, under oath. And my boss got up to make his closing arguments to the jury. And he led off by saying that when he was young, his grandfather was one of his major influences, and his grandfather used to tell him, you lie about a little, you lie about a lot. And I have used that line multiple times since then. So let me ask you this. Does that change in politics? Is it excusable to spin things? I had a friend once I was talking with about public statements of someone in state politics, and the person I was talking to said, well, I guess that's his politics, to which I replied, no, it's still a lie. There's no acceptable setting, including politics, for intentional mistruths. All right, now that I've laid all that foundation, has anyone else noticed the constant stream of mistruths from the Kamala Harris-Tim Walz campaign, or at least from their pundits? I mean, you have to ask yourself, are they scared of the consequences of truth? Or do they as arrogantly believe that we can't handle the truth? Well, what got me started on this whole thought process was the constant barrage of campaign surrogates and liberal media pundits all collaborating for the big lie that Trump is a Nazi. A Nazi? What? Or alternatively, he's a fascist. Okay, so Trump is either Adolf Hitler or Benito Mussolini. I mean, the only thing missing now from the Axis powers of World War II would be to have Trump declared an imperialist warmonger and liken him to Japan's Emperor Hirohito. Then we could fight the war all over again, but against one man. Look, I've heard everything in recent days. I mean, it just takes the cake. Liberal pundit Mika Brzezinski, she went on The View as a guest. In a hyperventilation moment, she reacted to the massive Trump rally that occurred at Madison Square Garden by saying, and here's her quote, you ready? She said, quote, "It was everything you need to know about Donald Trump in one weird white nationalist Nazi-type rally. And of course, there's historic parallels to where and when this happened." And then she said, "I have come with such dire warnings, and I mean them from the bottom of my heart. These are the final hours." My gosh, take a breath, woman. But every bit of that was a lie. Every bit of that was just pure hyperbole. Well, not to be outdone, by the way, in the massive lying hyperbole category, View host Whoopi Goldberg, she went on her own unhinged rant claiming that Trump would actually break up interracial marriages. What? Breaking up interracial marriages. And oh, by the way, if an illegal immigrant woman claimed to be married to a white American citizen, that Trump would just split the couple up and, here's the quote, reassign the white guy to another woman. She was practically spitting in the microphone when she yelled all this on national TV. But look, the lying rhetoric may be coming from a lot of the pundits and the people who get out there as surrogates for the campaign, but it's also coming straight from the horse's mouth, from Vice President Harris herself. A woman, by the way, who cannot even decide what accent to use and has to reinvent herself at every turn. When asked recently if she believes that Trump is a fascist, she simply responded, "Yes, I do." She even went on so far then to hold an actual press conference on the steps of the official residence of the vice president with the flag of the office behind her and declared that the former fired chief of staff John Kelly's comments about Donald J. Trump were all true. Trump's a dictator. Here's what she said, in her official capacity, by the way. She said, quote, "In a second term, people like John Kelly would not be there to be the guardrails against his propensities and actions. Those who once tried to stop him," she said, "from pursuing his worst impulses would no longer be there to rein him in." So the bottom line, she asked, is this. We know what Donald Trump wants. He wants unchecked power. So the question in 13 days will be, what do the American people want? That was said in her official capacity. Well, look, this is the same Kamala Harris, who as vice president wanted the world to know what an amazing thing it was that we did so well pulling out of Afghanistan. Whoop, whoop. Remember that John Kirby, Harris's former Pentagon press secretary, who now serves as the communications coordinator for the National Security Council, when he made the amazing statement that Russia and China were likely in awe of the United States after watching how quickly the exit from Afghanistan took place. What? What? I mean, how is the Biden administration able to put out statements like that? when the world knows that Biden's own Department of Defense issued a statement that same week that said that the exit from Afghanistan was so bad that China was using it as a propaganda tool to convince world leaders that we can't be counted on. To this day, Harris attempts to cast shade on anybody who says her administration just didn't hit a home run with the Afghanistan pullout. And as for the border, well, here's another one. She was appointed the border czar till it became inconvenient. Then suddenly she'd never been the border czar. And the liberal media who reported her as the border czar now agreed she'd never been the border czar, even though we all saw it right there with our own two eyes. And they reported it. And then, as a total capstone to all of it, recently she blamed the border issues on Trump, of course. Look, these are not small mistruths. They're not the only ones either. And these aren't little white lies. These are character assassinations writ large. These are major policy points that affect our economy, our military strength, and certainly the public trust in the office of the presidency. And I will tell you, this is a pattern. It has been known for so many years that Kamala Harris will embellish stories to help herself be, more relatable, I guess? Fighting for the people, bringing an opportunity to the economy later, but not now, even though I'm already vice president, and on and on and on. And people have excused her little white lies, and they've excused her embellishments, and they've excused her fake accents, and they've excused her absolute lies and her fear-mongering, and they put them off as just, politics. Just good old school politics. No, it's called lying. And now we have the woman who's been lying for years without constraint or correction. A woman who, by the way, has never, ever, ever led anything, any organization in her whole life. A woman who didn't get a single vote to be allowed to be the Democrat nominee. A woman who has built a life on lying about a little is now in charge of an administration that seems to perpetually lie about a lot and wants to be the president of the United States. And there is no good excuse for it. None. You lie about a little, you lie about a lot. And that's a wrap for the Rightside Way. All right, well, take me to a break there, JP. Yeah, I'm telling you, the lie about a little, lie about a lot, it's real. And what we're seeing right now is that we've got a lying group of people with their pundits in the press covering them. And it's just absolutely not right. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. But nonetheless, we are working through some tech issues right here as software in the systems decides it just wants to play games right at the time we go on the air. No worries. We're still talking. Hey, listen, I got several text messages from you. The text lines are indeed open. We're going to run this live show. It's all going to be good. 833-687-4448. That's 833-68-RIGHT. And JP, you just let me know when I've got about 30 seconds before we go out to the next break, all right? Otherwise, I'll be talking and we'll be gone.
I'll try my best.
We're good, brother. We're good. Nani from Beverly Hills, Florida says, why can't politicians and political groups and PACs be sued for lies? You know what? It's a great question. In fact, somebody even asked me that about the fact that they were just fear-mongering all this stuff about the rally the other day, about how everyone who was there was part of a Nazi rally. Well, there's a lot of people that were offended with being lumped into that, that type of disparagement. And I don't know. I mean, first of all, a claim for defamation, there's a barrier they have to meet. A burden they have to meet. They have to be able to be shown to have done so recklessly and with intent to basically defame with a reckless indifference for the truth. If we don't, go down that road, there at least needs to be some corrective action on what people are allowed to say, I would think, at some point. Now, we can't get into the whole misinformation thing, right? They can say what they want to say and we roll our eyes and move on. But what I don't appreciate is the fact that they are literally painting people with a broad brush. If you like Trump, you're a racist. If you like Trump, you're a Nazi. And you look at this and go, my gosh, where does it stop? JT Lacey Springs, he says, yay for Taco Tuesdays. I love Mexican food. Them chicken quesadillas, by the way, your voice text is tearing your words up, brother, but I knew what you meant. Chicken quesadillas be good. He said, I'm of the opinion that when libs and walk in front of a mirror, they close their eyes. He switched gears on me. Jeff from Indiana says, Phil, I'm not scared about Donald Trump being a fascist as much as I am in fear of almost half the American people being dangerously stupid, that this would even be a close race between Harris and Trump. He says, with that many stupid people walking around this country, I should have been a con man. It'd have been easy to sell some of these falsehoods to gullible people. Yeah, bro, I agree. And I look at it and think, okay, Trump notoriously underpolls. I heard a great discussion. How much time have I got, man? We good? I heard a great discussion with Brit Hume. I think it was yesterday. Brit Hume has been doing this for years. He's on Fox News. He's considered to be, their senior analyst emeritus kind of guy. And he said, before in the days, he said, I've been doing this for years. And in the days before we had polls that came out every other day, we had to actually go with our gut. He said, you didn't have 24/7 news. You didn't have 24/7 polling. You had to go with your gut, and you could look at it. You could see the trends. You could see the popular movements. You could see the audience reactions. And as a guy on the news, we had to say, it appears that, he said, so I'm going to go old school. This is him talking. I'm paraphrasing slightly. But he said, I'm going to go old school and say, it appears that all the momentum is in favor of Trump. And I would agree. I mean, I think that's literally where it's panning out right now. John from Huntsville says, Phil, fantastic monologue. Also, did you see the Dodgers are now just one game away from being World Series champions? Thank you, John.
Unfortunately, yeah, they are, and they probably will win.
You're not for them?
No, I'm not a big Dodgers guy.
But you know what's pretty cool, though? There's a guy out there trying to beat, oh, gosh, what's his name? The cheesy guy from I'm going to think of it in a minute. Pencil neck guy who's in Congress out in California, who's running for the Senate, and he's running against Steve Garvey, who's a legendary Dodgers player. Yeah. And this can't hurt Steve Garvey's campaign right now.
Yeah.
He gets to just talk Dodgers all the time and be a free moment. James from Bucksville says, over the weekend, CDC quarantined McDonald's Quarter Pounder. What? Ostensibly for eco. They didn't quarantine it. They did issue a warning, and McDonald's did a recall to get some meat off the table. But it said by Monday, CDC admitted no E. coli was found. Yeah, I don't know how to explain that, man. I did see it. I can't help but think, though, there was a little bit of payback for McDonald's letting Trump come serve some fries. Morgan from Fort Myers, Florida says technology is great till it's not. We're experiencing that right now. In fact, I'm pretty sure we're about to go out to a break, and all I can do is assume that we really are. So
we're going to assume we got a minute left.
You're assuming we got a minute left. All right, we'll take that. Brian from Decatur says, fantastic idea for a Trump campaign ad would be a 30 straight seconds of Kamala Harris's cackle with no interruptions. Nice. You know what though? I'm pretty sure you might drive people into some measure of manic fits. So I don't think we should. I don't think they should do that to us. Just to be honest, I don't. You can only take it in small doses. But hey. All right, listen, we're going to wind up taking a break right now. We'll come right back. Text lines are open. Just call it, text it, same number for both, 833-687-4448. We'll keep working on our technical issues. If you hear a little dead air once in a while, it's because we're working off our internal clock and not the usual computer clock. All the same, Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. We will be right back. Alabama. Y'all, this show goes like way down south of Birmingham and up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. All right, dealing with tech issues, but we believe we're on the air. Whoop, whoop. So anyway, we'll keep talking till you like you're out there. Apparently with the text lines going, we apparently are. So I'm glad of it. The system that we use to do our internal timing and tell us when to go to breaks and all that kind of stuff, and also keeps track of our times and then also plays our bump music, that system decided it was done for the day. So we'll just keep operating with a microphone and a voice, but that's what y'all are here for anyway. Ken from Harvest texted in and said, in regards to technology, to err is human, to really mess things up takes a computer. Brother, we are there. Yes, indeed. And then Ken from Decatur just texted in and reminded me that Pencil Neck is Adam Schiff. That's who I was trying to think of, Adam Schiff. There you get Adam Schiff. He's a shifty one, that guy is. All right, listen, we're going to start this first dipper, and I got to tell you, I'm fully aware that when someone is awkward, lacks social skills, doesn't seem to have it going on, struggles with personal interactions, that just happens, all right? Some people, it's a question of maturity. Some people, it's a question of their comfort zones. And other people, it's just, something they haven't gotten to yet. But the reality is, sometimes awkward is self-inflicted. Awkward can be self-inflicted, and we are seeing awkward, self-inflicted moments left and right in the left's attempts to get Kamala Harris elected. It's gotten to the point that it's desperate. Because what we're doing, awkward is created when someone has the self-inflicted moment of trying too hard to be something they're not, and it backfires. Have you ever sat there, like I'll never forget one time, I'm sitting in church, and this guy gets up to sing a solo. And within 30 seconds, you just knew it was so bad, you're thinking, who screened this guy? Who told him he could sing? And I don't know about anybody else in the church, but I was sitting there breaking out in like a cold sweat. It was secondhand embarrassment is what it really is. Secondhand embarrassment as somebody's up there on stage doing something you're thinking, oh my gosh, somebody make him stop. This is awful. Well, we're seeing that kind of thing out of the left right now. They are not firing on all cylinders. They are scared to death that they're about to lose. And their desperation is making them do awkward, stupid stuff. Now, some of it's from people that are outside the actual campaign. It's people who are trying too hard to help her out, and it's really not helping. Like, for instance, story that pulled off a woke spy. In a desperate attempt to prove she worked at McDonald's, Democrats rapidly circulated an image purporting to show Kamala Harris in her McDonald's uniform over the weekend. They finally found it? She actually did work there? Is this going to be true? Yeah, well, about that. The fast food chain itself has repeatedly said it has no record of the Democrat working there, and the image does seem to show a young-looking vice president, though, standing joyfully in front of a chest of drawers in a bedroom, wearing a blue uniform with striped sleeves. Except the problem is it was photoshopped. Why would somebody do this? It was photoshopped, made evident by the fact that another nearly identical photograph of a white woman in a McDonald's uniform was circulated almost simultaneously. So in other words, Democrats lied. And it became very awkward, and it went away very quickly. But then you look at stuff that's a little bigger, all right? That's like some one-off, somebody on social media shouldn't have gone down that road. Next thing you know, they're retweeting it and circulating it, trying to do all the things. Oh, she's real. Look, she worked at McDonald's. It's all good. No, she didn't really. But then you get into things like this one. I'm not a fan of Jeff Bezos. I'm not. I think he's a liberal hack. I think he's an elitist. But he did something the other day that kind of caught people off guard. People are looking at this and going, wait a minute. The Washington Post, see, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. He also, was he with Amazon and Blue Origin? He's a billionaire. And Jeff Bezos, he owns the Washington Post, which is notoriously one of the most liberal, hackish newspapers in the nation, maybe the world. They portray themselves as news, but they are so basically entitled in their liberal progressivism that you can't ever trust a thing that comes out. If you're a conservative, you will not get a fair shake. That's the general feeling. Well, Washington Post owner Jeff Bezos penned an op-ed defending his paper's, quote, principled decision not to endorse a presidential candidate. And everybody went, what just happened? And the left is having a meltdown. And it's getting really awkward. It's getting so awkward, in fact, that what they're doing is they're portraying what we've always known about them. But Bezos is telling them, we can't keep going down this road and gain the respect of the people that we want to portray ourselves as news for. And yet, the fallout is happening left and right. Why? Because liberals do not like it when people don't agree. And when they think they have their safe space, it's a safe space. This was my cry room. The Washington Post was my cry room. Well, here's what Bezos said. He said, quote, "We must be accurate, and we must be believed to be accurate. It is a bitter pill to swallow, but we are failing on that second requirement." He said, "Most people believe the media is biased, and anyone who doesn't see this is paying scant attention to reality. And those who fight reality lose. Reality is an undefeated champion." Now, by the way, I want to keep that phrase and remind him later when he supports transgenderism that he said that reality is an undefeated champion. Anyway, he went on to say, in this case, "It would be easy to blame others for our long and continuing fall in credibility. But a victim mentality will not help. Complaining is not a strategy. We must work harder to control what we can control to increase our credibility." In other words, what he's saying is, we didn't endorse Kamala Harris because it lacks credibility. What he's basically saying is, I don't believe in it, and I own this freaking paper, and all of y'all can get on board. Meanwhile, oh, by the way, this article that I've got here from Fox News says the fallout over the decision is apparently leading the Post to pay a heavy price. NPR has now reported that the paper has lost 200,000 subscribers. 200,000 subscribers since Friday. That's just in a matter of days. Liberal readers are outraged that the Post won't endorse Harris, and multiple members of the editorial staff have also resigned. Good riddance. You don't need them. Bezos, go hire. Listen, I don't mind if somebody has a different opinion and they work for a paper. But don't portray yourself as unbiased and then be entirely biased. And then get mad when someone calls you biased, because all that does is create the awkward moment that shows that we can see through your veneer. Anyway, how you doing over there, brother? You still working on software? What are you doing over there?
Yes, I've done all I can do. So
Listen, we're going to get through this show. It's going to be fine. It's all good. I got a few text messages, then I'm going to get into. I got some audio, by the way. In fact, I tell you what we'll do. Let's do this. You can play audio, right? All good on that? So let's talk about. I gave you some surrogate stuff, right? There's one-off people doing stupid stuff right now on social media trying to make new pictures of Kamala like she wore a McDonald's uniform she never wore. Didn't work. Very awkward. Then we got things like Jeff Bezos exposing his own people and saying we lack credibility. No, as a paper, Washington Post is not going to endorse Kamala Harris, and they're having a complete meltdown. Why? Oh, it's awkward. No, it's awkward. It's so awkward. But then there's the candidates themselves. Then there's Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, who have reached new heights for awkwardness. The kind where you look at and go, my gosh, how did you get this far in the public realm? Did people feel sorry for you along the way? Is that what happened? Well, one of the stories that I've got here from Daily Caller. How many of y'all have seen that apparently Kamala has multiple accents? JP, you seen this? She's got accents for every situation.
She's got them kept back in her brain that she apparently thinks are good accents to pull out.
They just pop forward as needed. Like, she's apparently Jamaican today. No, she's a black pastor tomorrow. Oh, by the way, she's going to wind up being, a Southern genteel lady. So I've got an article here from Daily Caller. I would really suggest y'all check this one out. This one is a hoot. So all these resources you hear me rattle on the paper, if you go to our website, rightsidemedia.org, go to our live stream where you can see us in studio, there's a button that says resources. Every article that I've pulled together to give you guys, good background is all available to you. And the one that I'm talking about is in Dipper 1. It's from Daily Caller. It's called The Quick Translation Guide to Kamala's Many Fake Accents. And they walk through all of them. Now, the newest one happened this past weekend, and so I'm going to be calling for audio clip number 2, bud. So this past Saturday or Sunday, Kamala Harris debuted her latest accent at a rally in Philadelphia. It might be her best one yet. This is her admirable attempt to appeal to black Christian women, and it just smacks of lack of sincerity and really awkward. Play that.
Weeping may endure for a night.
Oh, God. Hang on. Did you lose it? Where'd it go? Play it again. Did we lose it? I heard the beginning of it. Tell me when you got it back. It's just unbelievable.
But joy cometh in the morning.
No.
The path may seem hard, the work may seem heavy, but joy cometh in the morning, and church morning is on its way.
God almighty. Listen, that's not normal. That is so awkward. And I have to wonder how many of those were pity claps in the background. I mean, so here's my theory on this. The person who goes and constantly changes their accent for whoever they're speaking for at the time has an insecurity that they don't know how to match. And so they try to be a chameleon for the crowd as opposed to being who they are. And that's what you're dealing with. The awkwardness of Kamala Harris changing her accent. She's got another one where the article says she sounds more like a cashier at a Buc-ee's in East Texas. Like she's serving up some sweet tea, y'all. I mean, like, what just happened? Who'd she just become? She's channeling her inner Southern lady at that one. She was the big-hearted Latina woman in one of them. She was a sinister French madam with a strange accent in another. She was her Jamaican grandmother on another one talking about cocoa nuts. Y'all, I'm telling you, awkward does not even begin to describe what we're seeing coming out of this campaign. All right, listen, we're going to wind up taking a break. We're going to come right back. I got more audio. One of the most awkward things ever happened in one of her rallies yesterday. But y'all, I'm just telling you, awkward is funny, and awkward is also not what we need in the White House. We're taking a break. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower. All right, just be aware, by the way, we got a gaffe in some of our technology here. We're flying a little bit blind. You know what? We're flying by stick. How about that? Our IFR is down and we can't find the runway. So we're literally flying by stick right now. That's okay. We can do that. I got a bunch of text messages. Let me jump on some of those before I go to the next part. So I just gave you some absolute just awkward moments. You know what? I tell you what, we might want to play that one other. I've got that other Kamala awkward moment. This one almost doesn't have as much appeal without being able to see the video. So let me encourage you. You can see it on my social media at @SinPhilWilliams on Twitter or at Rightside Media. But so Kamala, I'm talking about awkwardness, right? I'm talking about these self-inflicted awkward moments, the kind where you look at it and go, oh, that just happened, and you almost feel bad for them. Then you realize, nope, that's good for us. I'm glad that happened, but it was awkward. So Kamala was speaking to a rally yesterday, and in what was obviously kind of a canned moment, the crowd was shouting, Kamala, Kamala. And then I want y'all to hear what happens when she tries to win the crowd over and say, y'all need to stop and shout your own names. And it went silent. Like you can watch the video and tell it, all she did was confuse the audience and they just stopped yelling. Because obviously this was not a spontaneous, fully emotional, everybody wants to yell kind of moment. This was a moment when they were doing what they were told to do. So there was probably somebody with a prompter saying, chant Kamala, Kamala, and they thought that was their call to cut it off. And and then all she could do was cackle. She had a moment where she's like, ha, 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 ha. What I'm saying is, play that clip.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that. Because it's about all of us. It's about all of us. And listen, I have fought my whole career to put the people first.
My gosh. Can you back that up and play it again? Did y'all gather that? So when you're ready, give me the thumbs up. The reality is she literally just wiped out the so-called crowd enthusiasm. I mean, they had this feigned enthusiasm. They were doing what they were told to do. They're yelling Kamala, and they've all got these same signs, and it looks a little bit like a North Korean rally. And they all are standing. There's Kamala, Kamala, and then all of a sudden she yells at them to say their own names, and they have no idea what to do. And it all comes to a grinding halt, because that's what happens when you have forced or feigned enthusiasm, and then when someone turns off the teleprompter light, they don't know what to do. Play it again.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that. Because it's about all of us. It's about all of us.
I wish y'all could see her face. You saw it, JP. I mean, was that a moment of like, oh crap, awkward?
Yeah, that was a I don't know what else to do, so I'm just gonna giggle moment.
Giggle and then try to start talking and pretend that didn't just happen.
By the way, all of her rallies, I've never seen the chants sound more orchestrated, because normally organic chants, they kind of start with a couple of people and then slowly they all. It seems like everyone there starts at the same time, and it just does not seem organic.
And apparently they're also told to end at the same time, and they thought that was their cue.
Yeah.
A bunch of text messages. Gary from Decatur says John Kirby is the Navy's biggest embarrassment since Jimmy Carter. I'm not going to argue that point. Wendell from Baton Rouge says Adam Schiff, but I like pencil neck better. Thank you, sir. JT Lacey Springs says, seems Kamala is doing the same as Joe, trying to relate to the crowd just with an accent. Yeah, Joe always had a habit of, Joe had to have a story. He grew up in their neighborhood, you know. Joe ate dinner at their house. Joe knew their mama. Joe, fought their battles and walked their streets and went to their schools and played basketball in their gyms and all of it. Kamala just changes the way she talks. Now, both are awkward. I mean, I don't know how many times I've laughed about Joe getting up there and saying, and in fact, I even had a montage at one point of all the places that Joe said he had been to grow up as, in a synagogue, in a mosque, in in an Italian restaurant. It was nuts. Kamala just changes the way she talks. John from Huntsville says, "Hey, just letting you know, your timing was nearly perfect that time." JP, listen. John from Huntsville, I want you to give all the points to JP today because he's running an external clock and we are still hitting our mark, and that's good. Red from Tony, Alabama says, "That was more than a different accent. She was speaking in a whole different century." That's not, yeah. Kenya from Monrovia says, "Kamala just copied Hillary in the made-up accent. How did that work out for Hillary?" Not well. Not well at all. Ken from Harvest says, "There's no pity claps for Kamala. More like a clap track, like the old laugh tracks on bad sitcoms." Yeah, the kind where they don't have the live audience. How many times, as a kid growing up, Sanford and Son is filmed before a live audience. I don't know why they had to tell us that. Why did we care? Jason from Huntsville says, "I already know where you're going. Tim Waltz trying to play John." Yes. Yes, Jason's got it nailed. On his computer, he's playing John Madden football on his computer or Xbox with an Xbox controller that wasn't on. And by the way, your text cut off, Jason, so I can't see the rest of it. I'll tell you what, let me jump. How much time have I got? My clock man.
We got about 2 minutes.
So, Tim Waltz is a former high school football coach, is what we understand. Tim Waltz is doing this thing where he's trying to, raise awareness of what a guy he is. And I don't know why playing Madden football with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is considered to be, I don't know, helping out the bros. Didn't really work. So he did this kind of live stream of he and AOC playing Madden football. Now, JP, I'm sure you grew up playing Madden. Am I right?
Oh, right now it's the new college football game instead. But yeah, I still play those games.
Absolutely. How much time do I have for this? Do I have time to go all the way into it?
You got about a minute and a half.
So
we can preview it.
So here's the deal. Waltz is sitting there wearing a camouflage Minnesota Vikings cap, and he's got a dual screen going, him and AOC, and they're playing a live stream of Madden football. It's all the stuff, man. It's all the dude stuff. And I'm hoping this was somebody in his campaign who doesn't really know football, but heard terms and wanted to sound cool on his behalf. And they put out a post. That immediately drew a whole lot of awkward rebuff, because he gets out there and he says, Ocasio-Cortez can run a mean pick six. You don't run a pick six. A pick six happens.
He's got a killer kick six play.
He's got pick six built into the playbook. It doesn't work like that. And he actually says that. He says, and we both know when you take time to draw up a playbook, you're going to use it like that's a play. This is a football coach. Everybody saw through it immediately. Now listen, are we picking? Sure we are. We're picking because it's goofy. It's awkward. It's self-inflicted. This is what happens when you let some, neophyte young intern run your social media for you, and you're running for vice president of the United States. No telling what they'd say about Israel and Iran. People are putting all kinds of comments out there. You don't run a pick six. You run the West Coast offense or the spread offense. This is Vance, by the way. This is J.D. Vance saying this. He said, it made me realize, even though they say Tim Waltz was a football coach, I think I know more about football than Tim Waltz. And he goes on to say, and they wonder why they can't get men to vote for this ticket. We actually had one on X say, I'm not sure Kamala ever worked at McDonald's, and now I'm unsure if Waltz ever coached football. Look, we're going to come back from this break. How much time I got, bud? We're going to come back from this break.
Go ahead and head out.
All right, and I got a couple more we're going to go through, and I'll be honest with you, awkward. We don't need awkward on the world stage. We don't need awkward dealing with national and international leaders. We don't need awkward fixing our economy. We need people in there that don't embarrass us when they do stuff. All right, Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Can't go wrong when you're on the right side. Right Side Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right.
Alabama's syndicated news talk leader, Right Side Radio. Phil Williams here live in the Right Side studios. Man, we got the local, the state, the national, covering down on all the issues. And oh yeah, like the dude just said, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Am I sound like I'm yes, I am. Y'all, I wish you could have seen JP's face. He just got the system rebooted, and we didn't know if it was going to work. And then all of a sudden, it started playing the opening bump. And I thought, you looked as if you had just dodged a bullet and opened a Christmas present all at the same time.
It's a miracle. It's a Christmas came early.
I'm good, man. This is great. Good job to you. I don't know what you did. But just go ahead and just pray that it continues. That's great. All right, so we're back on the air. Welcome back to hour number 2 as I wipe the tears from my eyes. Y'all just seen his face was hilarious. All good, man. All good. Good job, buddy. Hey, by the way, one other thing that the illustrious JP has done. So for the longest time, we used to always live stream the show on Twitter, X. And then there was a disconnect. We got that fixed. Well, I take it back. JP got that fixed. So as of right now, if you want to live stream the show and you are a Twitter/X follower, you can go to Rightside Media, and we are there right now, live streaming the show. We're also live streaming where are we? Tell them all where we are.
We are live streaming on Rumble, on Twitch, on X now, and also on YouTube. So that's our ones we're on.
All God's children can watch us somewhere if they want to, is what you're telling me.
Yes.
All right, so all good, man. Good job. A few text messages to kick things off. James from Bucksville says, "Oh, this is where this is where his text, the other half of James's text has popped in. He's the one that said earlier, over the weekend, CDC quarantined McDonald's Quarter Pounders, ostensibly for E. coli, but by Monday, CDC admitted no E. coli, and it was found in either onions." No E. coli was found in either the onions nor the meat. Okay, I listen. All I know is I find it to be very suspicious. Just saying. Benji from Hackleburg says the Kamala telling them to chant their own name deserves kind of jackassery sound effect. You know what? I think he's right. Do you want to play that clip again?
Yeah, we can play it again.
Just for grins. Tell them to call their own name, and when it goes quiet, then hit the jackassery. I think it's a perfect fit. I think get her cackle and then follow with a jackassery. Just when you're ready, bro. I'm gonna take it. Go for it. Yeah, we're still working on it. I'm making you work for every dime you earn today, bro. Oh God, you got it. Play it.
Okay, now I want each of you to shout your own name. Do that.
Benji from Hackleburg. John from Huntsville, if you don't give JP all the points for today, tomorrow, and a few, he's banking points at this point. It's just unreal. Mike from Florence. Big text here. What do you got here? Republicans got to double down on the fact they have no plan to implement a national ban on abortion and why states have limits. DeSantis did a great job. Okay, Mike, listen, I'm really, you know what? At this point, we are literally less than a week away from the election, and all we can do is say the same thing we've been saying all again. And for those who want to already believe, they believe. Those who don't want to believe are not going to change their minds by next Tuesday. Stay on task. The top issues right now we know for a fact are the economy and the border, and that abortion is the Democrats' platform issue. And if we start bringing it up on a daily basis, it gives them sound bites to work with. So at this point, I just say, you know what? We've said what we're going to say. We've done what we're going to do. Roe v. Wade is not the law of the land. Next. And we go on to the next topic. Stick with the things that the people want to hear about. You're not going to win any undecideds right now because the people who care or don't care about abortion have already made up their minds. And by the way, I'm not dissing on your comment. I'm as pro-life as you can get, Mike. But I'm just saying that is not actually what we need to be arguing for or against in the next few days. It's an absolute big issue. Let's deal with it later. But right now, let's go win an election first. Tim from Decatur says, Kamala needs an endorsement from Corn Pop. We all know he was a real bad dude. At least Joe said so. Awkward, but yes. Oh, speaking of awkward, look, Yellow Dog Mike is here. Yellow Dog Mike texts in. He says, Phil, you realize you're backing a felon rapist draft dodger and you besmirch the many generals that don't support him. Trump will be gone, but your shame will live on. Yellow Dog Mike. Yellow Dog Mike, I'm trying to decide if he's a cartoon. I mean, is he real?
Well, you know what? He didn't call you a North Korean North Korean style propagandist.
Yeah.
So I guess he listened to us critiquing.
That was like 2 or 3 days in a row. On
yeah,
that one.
at least he updated his insult there.
Let's see. I'm looking at Thursday, North Korean propagandist. Wednesday of this week, North Korean propagandist. Monday of this week, Phil, you're a North Korean propagandist. All right. Hey, listen, let me jump back on this thing and wrap this segment up. So, awkward moments? Oh, yes. Oh, yes, they've got them. By the way, how awkward is it that you're trying to win the men's votes, but your running mate has a nickname of Tampon Tim? You can't make this stuff up. There's got to be a laugh track over there somewhere. Thank you. Thank you very much. You're just on it today, brother. Gwen Waltz is the wife of Minnesota Governor and Democrat vice presidential hopeful Tim Waltz. Story here on Fox News. She was asked by Katie. Good for Katie Couric. Katie, and I didn't see this one, so I don't know the tone in which it was asked. But Katie Couric actually asked the First Lady of Minnesota about the fact that her husband has the nickname of Tampon Tim. A nickname that was coined by conservatives when he signed a bill in his state that would put free menstrual products in all school restrooms, including boys' rooms. This is happening. By the way, that's who wants to be your vice president. The guy who puts feminine hygiene products in the boys' rooms. Just there. Well, pray tell, what is it that Gwen Waltz relies upon as the proper justification for putting menstrual products in the boys' room? In her words, it will help them learn to read. I just said that. And some of you out there are going, what did he say? Yes. She said it would help them learn to read. She says if kids are hungry in school, what does that do to the brain and learning? You're not going to learn to read. So if you're talking about learning to read and closing gaps, you better take away the barriers for that. If that's tampons, right? That's her quote. That's a direct quote from Gwen Waltz. That's awkward. That's beyond awkward. And oh, by the way, they're trying to win the male vote, and they're losing it, and they wonder why. She says, Tim and I have always thought about removing barriers to learning and success, and whatever barrier that is, whether it be free lunch or menstruation products or knowing who does this, by the way? Who goes out there on the campaign trail and wants to talk about feminine hygiene? Oh, okay. Awkward doesn't even begin to. Here's awkward last. Awkward last. You ready? Last one. Because I know this has been painful, and some of y'all are breaking out in a cold sweat about it. I don't know if you saw this or not, but Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who I don't know, something about her, you look at her on camera and you think, that woman's got a cold heart. I mean, you just look at her and think, I'm pretty sure she inflicts pain. But Vice President Harris and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer were having a beer at the bar, just hanging out. You know, two ladies out for a night, sitting at a bar in Kalamazoo, having a serious conversation. So serious that a video has begun making the rounds where it appears they forgot that there were microphones nearby. Apparently, they were having a real conversation. And Harris is heard talking. So my thing is, we got to move some ground among the men. And then you can watch the video. All of a sudden, Harris turns around and realizes there's microphones. And she even says, we got microphones in here. Just listen to everything. Didn't realize that. So the bottom line is, latest polls from the New York Times show that Harris is leading Trump with women 54-42, but Trump leads Harris among men 55-41, and they don't know what to do about it. And all they keep doing is creating awkward moments. And by their own admission, they're trying to gain ground and they can't. Meanwhile, they're screwing up on the terminology from playing Madden and talking about putting feminine hygiene products in the boys' rooms, and then they wonder why they can't get the male vote. Awkward does not even begin to describe where we are with this campaign. All right, we're going to skip that. We're going to go take a break right now. We'll come right back from this break. And y'all, when we get back, I'm going to call an audible. We're going to go to Saving Title IX. I'm going with that dipper next. I got a great audio from Riley Gaines. You're going to want to hear it. It's worth it. And JP, I'm loving having our bump music back. Phil Williams Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio, solid, conservative, and just plain right. Saving the world one soundbite at a time. I am telling you. Listen, JP has been on it today. JP, you have earned your paycheck, my brother. You just basically got everything rewired, reworked. He rebuilt the entire studio. He painted the walls. He did everything all at one time during the top of the hour break and got us running again. So good job, man.
Are you saying that I'm gonna possibly win the golden soundboard trophy?
If there's a golden soundboard award today, John from Huntsville should award to you. So, and by the way, John from Huntsville has texted in and says, Phil, you should be an NFL quarterback because you always know when to call an audible. Thank you very much. Well, I am calling an audible right now. Listen, it just irks me to death that you've got this absolutely asinine thing going on where men who think they're women are then allowed to compete in women's sports. We've talked about it. We've talked about it a lot on this show. The issue is not yet going away. I really believe that a big part of this is because in the environment that we've been in the last 4 years, progressive left has felt empowered. They have felt like they can get away with pretty much anything, and they have. You've got a Biden-Harris administration that has empowered them at every step. Keep in mind that what we're looking at right now with the issue of transgender participation in sports, specifically men who think they're women participating in women's sports and gaining an advantage because they're biologically men, that is being empowered for them officially by the U.S. government. Not a little bit, a lot. One of the most specific means by which we're seeing that happen is through a revision or a reinterpretation, if you will, of Title IX. Title IX being the law that was passed decades ago to allow for equality in education and sporting, and among other things. But Title IX was put there for a reason. It was put there to ensure that biological females are on an even keel, open playing field with males. In other words, if you go to a school and they've got a baseball field, there's very likely going to have to be a softball field. There's going to have to be a basketball court, or at least access to a basketball court that men and women can both play on. You're going to have to do the things necessary to make sure there is equal opportunity, not equity, but equal opportunity. Well, when you go to the Democrat side of things and all you hear is equity, 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 when they forget that it's about equality, it changes the dynamic. And the equity movement is allowing things like transgenderism in sports, and not just like allowing it, it's mandating it. What do you mean, Phil? Well, the official revision or reinterpretation of Title IX that protects women in women's sports has been distorted officially by the U.S. Department of Education. That's the Biden-Harris U.S. Department of Education. They came out with a reinterpretation. It's not legal. Oh, by the way, it was not done by Congress. It was done by executive fiat by a department. But it was done with the full authority and the backing of the Biden-Harris administration. And this mandate said that education arenas to include sports will provide the same for transgenders who believe that they are of a different sex than it would if they were just pursuing their biological sex. Meaning, dudes can compete in women's sports. Meaning, schools have to provide, joint use of the bathrooms and showers and locker rooms. And you look at it, that makes no sense. You're right, it makes no sense. It makes no sense unless you bought into the idea that gender is fluid. Unless you bought into the idea that science no longer matters. Unless you bought into the idea that someone can say, today, I'm going to be a woman. But you're not. But I am. Why? Because I say so. Listen, all that does is just create confusion. But it also, I will say this, it also creates an unfair dynamic for women. There is no doubt that muscular structure and bone structure and any number of things that like size and strength, all of it, the male sex is different than the female sex. It just is. It does not mean they are less capable people, But if you go out to a golf course, you will see there's two different tee boxes. If you will go to a weightlifting competition, you will see there are two different versions of what is considered a heavyweight, male and female. If you look at boxing, I mean, there are sports now that women compete in that never used to have women in them, but they compete as women. And what we're watching right now is a revision not only of biology, it's a revision of culture. And it's awful. But it's also creating staggering disparity for women. Women who have literally trained their entire lives to be at the top of their particular sport are now finding that it no longer matters, because when they run their race or swim their meet or lift their weights or do whatever competition that they've signed up for and trained for and been a part of for years, that suddenly it no longer matters that they tried so hard and trained so hard, because someone with an unfair advantage is just allowed in because they say. So you got guys who were mediocre in the guys category are now coming in, and they're all in and breaking all the taking all the medals and breaking all the records. New York Post has an article that I brought up, I think yesterday or the day before, but I'm gonna touch on it again just to segue into our topic, because when we get back, I've got some great stuff on this about women who are taking a stand. But the New York Post points out that an eye-opening United Nations report has revealed that upwards of 900 medals have been awarded to men in women's competition. In other words, they were medals that should have gone to women. And the study is actually titled, interestingly enough, Violence Against Women and Girls in Sports. Violence. And it says that by March of this year, over 600 female athletes in more than 400 competitions have lost more than 890 medals in 29 different sports. 29 different sports. 600 female athletes have had all their training be for naught. The report, it says, surfaced as transgender participation in women's sports remains high on the agenda leading up to the elections. Well, I don't think it's the number one issue in the election, but I think culture is. I think a part of what we're seeing in the momentum swing towards Trump is that people are sick to death of being told that what is right is wrong and what is wrong is right. Not the least of which is what they're doing to Title IX and to women's sports. When we get back, I got some good stuff on it. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Covering down on some major ground across the northern half of the most beautiful state in the nation. This one, I am talking about this one. Don't argue with me. It's Alabama. Y'all, this show goes like way down south of Birmingham, up north of Huntsville, Tuscaloosa, back to Gadsden, parts of Georgia, Tennessee, and even Mississippi, all thrown in just for good measure. Hey, by the way, I'm excited tonight to be the MC and a speaker at the Eagle Forum of Alabama's annual dinner. Should be a huge event. We got hundreds of people. They've oversold the venue, I think, basically. I mean, it's going to be a big crowd. Looking forward to being down there with them in Birmingham tonight. So just to say, coming up here in about 30 minutes, when we go into hour number 3, in order for me to get there on time and be, on stage with them at the right moment, we're going to have to play a repeat of hour 3. You're going to hear the interview we did the other day with Attorney General Steve Marshall, and I appreciate y'all's understanding on that. JP's got all that set up and ready to plug it. By the way, that's one more thing on the list for technical wizard, category stuff today, JP. You've actually got an hour 3 in the can sent out to the stations to play.
Yeah, that's what, when we were having our issues earlier, I knew in my head, all right, well, at least we'll have bumper music for hour 3. I know that for sure.
All good, man. But yeah, I'm excited to be with Eagle Forum of Alabama and honored that they would ask me to be a part of the agenda for tonight and look forward to it. If you did not hear the interview yesterday, I'm taking a brief moment of personal privilege here. If you did not hear the interview yesterday that we did on the air with Coach Joe Kennedy, it is so worth catching. He's going to be the keynote speaker tonight at the event where I'm the MC. But Coach Joe Kennedy did an amazing job on our show yesterday talking about his amazing story. I mean, there's now a book and a movie about his life. He's a coach who chose to pray on the sidelines of his high school football team's field and lost his job for daring to pray in the public arena. How about that? And it wasn't even anything overt. And he'd been doing it, by the way, for like 8 years before somebody finally complained. And next thing you know, he loses his job. Well, he went all the way to the Supreme Court of the United States with that case and won. And it's a game changer for the legal world. It's a game changer for Christians in the ability to pray in the public sector. And I'm thankful to get a chance to be with him tonight at the Eagle Forum dinner. All right, so we're back on this dipper I'm doing right now, Saving Title IX. Oh my gosh. So the idea that someone would wake up one day and decide, today I'm going to be a woman, and that the rest of the world is supposed to get on board with that. Let me just remind you guys that gender dysphoria is actually a psychological diagnosis. And gender dysphoria, in today's climate, which has been empowered by the Biden administration, gender dysphoria is the only mental illness I know of where we are supposed to get on board with them. In other words, if someone was schizophrenic, if someone was bipolar, if someone suffered from depression, if someone had an eating disorder, if someone, I don't know, pick any number of psychological or deeply rooted mental issues, if somebody was suffering through one of those, which are real, and they're painful. If someone was suffering through one of those mental disorders, we would try to raise them up. We try to get them help. If they needed medication because their system was out of whack, we would do that. You would do all the things necessary, counseling, and you would find a way to restore them, right? Find a way to bring them out of it and restore them and bring them back to a quality of life, but not with gender dysphoria. No, not in the Biden-Harris climate, not in the days of liberal progressivism. No, we're supposed to get on board with it. We're supposed to join them in their gender dysphoria. Nowhere else do I know of in the medical field is there a diagnosis which, in order to make it better, requires healthy people to do unhealthy things with them. Think about it. You are literally asking for the healthy people that don't suffer the disorder to join those who are unhealthy in acting out their disorder, because somehow that's affirming. Well, it's not. We should not have to join the crazy. Sane people should not have to join the crazy for the crazy to get better. It doesn't work like that. Anyway, that being said, one of the neatest moments that I've seen of late, And I've got this one I pulled off of Daily Wire. Dateline yesterday. The University of Nevada, Reno. This has been a run and gun battle right now in women's volleyball. San Jose State has a dude playing on the girls' team. San Jose State women's volleyball team, their star player is a guy. He's breaking records. He's got the hardest kill shots. He's got some of the greatest stats on the volleyball court. He's like 6'2". He's just literally, he's their star player, and they're so proud of him. San Jose State. So far, Southern Utah University, Boise State, University of Wyoming, and Utah State University, and now University of Nevada, Reno, have all forfeited their games against him because they refuse to play. Good for them. Good for them. Well, let me take that story one step further. Daily Wire reports that the University of Nevada, Reno's women's volleyball team announced they would not play in the Mountain West Conference match at San Jose State. Okay. And then the university came back and said, no, actually you are. That was a statement that was released by the team, and we didn't authorize that, and we are an inclusive environment college. This was done independently without consultation, and so yes, you girls will play. And those girls said, pound sand. The volleyball captain, her name is, I think it's Saya Lilly. She came out and said in the meeting they had with the university officials, she said, I felt in that meeting that we had where our university told us that we would have to play, I felt like I just had no air, like I was being actively silenced. But we're not backing down, she said. We're fighting for this because it affects not only us, it's bigger than just listening to this woman's voice. So this group of young female athletes, they didn't play on that court as they were told they had to do. They didn't go participate in the mental disorder as they were told they had to do. What did they do? They went and held a press conference and said, here's how we feel about it. And as a team, they stood together and they refused to play. Good for them. Riley Gaines, who all of y'all have heard of, Riley Gaines is amazing. She's become the poster person for fighting back against these Title IX revisions. You got that audio clip? So Riley Gaines recently did an event with Tulsi Gabbard, actually, and they talked about this very thing. And Riley had this to say about those young women taking a stand. Go ahead.
San Jose State University has a male on their team.
You lose the clip? Tell me when you're ready. All right. Bottom line is, this is Tulsi Gabbard and Riley Gaines talking about the team playing against San Jose State and then choosing to take a stand. Play it.
Has a male on their team, taking a scholarship, taking a roster spot, taking a travel spot from a hardworking, deserving female athlete. They were set to play yesterday, but during game time, these brave women, Sia and her teammates, which she is the captain of her team, they decided to hold a press conference. They ultimately decided to forfeit the match, understanding that they would accept a loss. Understanding that they would accept a loss, but they said, look, this is a loss that we are willing to accept because some things matter more than victory. And in this case, our safety does. The integrity of sports do. And so I commend their bravery and their leadership, certainly more bravery and leadership than their administration, their university showed.
How about that? That's a great clip. What are you thinking? I see you nodding your head. It's
mind-boggling to me that the university didn't support their own students, and they're more worried about inclusiveness and maybe even legal action towards the school, that they're not even going to back up their own students who are putting their neck on the line and, you know, being brave and speaking up that they don't want to play and they don't feel safe to play. First off, the university is forcing them to play. And it's something that they're openly saying they don't even feel safe to compete in, but yet they're trying to force them to still do that. There's one team that played the San Diego State team, and a girl actually got injured, had to be helped off the court because she got spiked so hard from the male player and hit her in the face, and she got injured from it. So they're putting their bodies, well-being on the line, trying to play in the game, and I'm just glad that they still stuck up for what they believed in and did not listen to the university and that. But
And here's the thing. That's University of Nevada, Reno, which means it's a state-funded university, right? So here in Alabama, by the way, we passed a law that prevents this. So in Alabama, this won't happen. In Alabama, these DEI policies are not allowed. And you're not going to find transgender use of bathrooms. And we also, prevent the treatments that are being applied to minors and the surgeries applied to minors. But in Alabama, you're not going to see that happening. This is why it matters who you put in your state legislature. This is why it matters who you put in your governor's office. This is why it matters, oh, by the way, apparently, who's on your board of trustees at your college. Think about that. I would like to know the University of Nevada, Reno, I'd like to know what their board of trustees thinks about the university trying to make them play. And I'm wondering, is anybody on that board of trustees calling the university president saying, what in God's name are you doing? I would hope so. I have no idea. I can't guarantee one way or the other. I would hope so. I would hope that conversation was happening in the background, because right now the university just got face planted. They literally just got the wood put to them by a bunch of volleyball girls who decided, you know what, you can say what you want to, Mr. University President, but we're not playing that game. We're not. We're not doing that, because this is bigger than us, and you can't force us to be something that we're not, and you can't force us to pretend that he's something that he's not. Good for them. Absolutely good for them. Saving Title IX, I mean, it's a huge, huge, huge deal. And that fight's not over. I mean, there's more to come, but I'll tell you too, a part of what we're seeing right now is a literal empowerment by the progressive left because of what the Biden-Harris administration has allowed to happen. And if we don't see Trump win next week, you're going to see this amplified, because they will believe they received a mandate and that the empowerment will continue. But I do say this, though. I got a story from Daily Signal that I'll tell you right before the break here. Democrats are flip-flopping. So you got right now, Democrats are scrambling to downplay radical positions, according to Daily Signal, on men playing as transgender women in women's sports. Left-wing candidates are walking a fine line as they realize that some of them have tight races. It says nearly 3/4 of registered voters think that biological males should not be allowed to participate in women's and girls' sports, and yet they are. And so you got now Republicans are slamming Democrats supporting of this, and several Democrats have been flip-flopping or scaling back their stances. Like, for instance, Texas Democratic U.S. Senate candidate Colin Allred, who's running against Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz accused him of trying to protect the integrity of women's and girls' sports. Allred denied his voting record, or refusing to protect the integrity of women's and girls' sports. Allred denied his voting record, saying that Cruz's attack was a desperate last-second attempt to distract. He went on to try and say that he's not for that kind of thing. It's what he thinks about kids in bathrooms. You're not thinking about women in hospitals, trying to pivot to the issue of abortion. You got Mary Peltola running in Alaska for Congress, voted against the Protection of Women and Girls in Sports Act, now trying to soften her stance and claim that it's about culture wars, and let's don't waste our time talking about this right now. You got Representative Gonzalez, Democrat from Texas, released an ad saying that he never supported sex changes after the RNC released an ad campaign slamming him for supporting sex changes for kids. Yeah, it goes on and on. Sherrod Brown in Ohio running a tight race. Suddenly he's lightening up on his positions in the past. Human Rights Campaign had recently endorsed Brown, saying that he supported the irreversible transgender medical interventions for children. And now he's trying to say, well, no, I mean, not really. Listen, they know what they've done. They've allowed the empowerment of a leftist agenda that is harmful, literally harmful to people, to women especially, and to kids. And they're paying the price for it. And I hope they pay the price by losing their jobs and not being allowed in the public sector anymore. All right, we're taking a break. We'll take this last break. I'll be coming back, getting some text messages. Coming up top of the hour, we'll switch to a pre-record because I'm headed out to be the MC for a major event in Birmingham. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all stay tuned. We will be right back. We are back. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Solid, conservative, and just plain right. Making common sense like a superpower. All right. By the way, we had our first, I would say, truly viral moment on social media. Just like bananas in the last couple of days. Had one of our listeners, and I just lost his name. Can you tell me his name? I just closed out that.
His
email.
name is Martin Guloev. I hope I'm saying this last name right, but
yeah,
Guloev.
And he says he's a Danish immigrant.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he was surprised to see, as he was reading some news from back home, that Danish news grabbed hold of a tweet that I put out about liberals calling the Trump rally a Nazi affair, and actually cited Rightside as a source when they were talking about that story. Very cool. I will say too, as our footprint grows and people are catching hold of what Rightside Media is all about, because it's more than Rightside Radio, it's Rightside Media with podcasting and everything else. The tweet that I put out yesterday just went bananas. It's somewhere like almost 2,300 likes, 83,000 impressions, and which is just massive for us. So that's great. Appreciate all of y'all chiming in. And if you want to follow us on social media, on X, it's Rightside Media, or you can follow me personally at @Sen. That's SEN Phil Williams. Jeff from Indiana says, Phil, people with gender dysphoria, I think they're of a different sex than they actually are, but what kind of delusion do the people who affirm these people have? What? I'm not sure if his voice text was coming out right, Jeff. I think I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, they think one thing, but why do other people think it with them, I guess is what you're trying to say. I got a phone call real quick. I'll take that. Is that Sparky? Sparky from Harvest. Hey, man, how you doing?
Hey, great segment on women's sports and the invasion of insanity into women's sports by the radical activists on the left. I've thought about this. My granddaughter, as you know, who's a sailor going through A school at Great Lakes right now.
Yeah, right.
She ROWed on a sports league down in Melbourne, Florida, where young men and women were together on teams, and it was an enjoyable sport. They all loved it. They loved competing together, and there's a time and a place for intermixing of sex in sports, but it's got to be, it has to be an agreed upon mix, not interjecting men into women's sports. And I don't think, I think men who want to compete in women's sports and or disfigure their bodies chemically and surgically, I think they've got mental problems anyway, but this all feels to me like they're really put up to it. Like this is really part of the radical left agenda to stick this in the face of conservatives and Christians and people who understand human biology, because it just doesn't seem like people of their own accord would say, hey, this seems like a good idea. I want to do this. I don't believe that for a second.
No, I agree with you, man. It defies logic, but it also seems to defy, I would just say, reason. Like the idea this is an unreasonable thing for someone to do. It's not just illogical, it's unreasonable for people to be put in this position. And you're right. If folks want to play co-ed, then by agreement play co-ed, but you understand the risk, you know what you're getting into. It's not the same as being forced into it. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Thanks, Spark. Appreciate you, man. Listen, we got a ton of texts. I'm not even able to get to all of them. Brian from Decatur said 2 things. I'd love to see one of these colleges have a definitively male player a definitively male player just for these games and spike it right in their face. Oh, I got you. He said, second, there's talk that Tulsi Gabbard's going to switch parties because she realized she's much too attractive for Democrats. By the way, she did officially switch parties already. That happened a few days ago at a Trump rally. She announced it. Mark from Tony says, Alabama may have passed a law against DEI, but it still happens on NASA property because I've witnessed it. Well, NASA is a federal government entity, and so that doesn't apply. Different story. We're talking about state-funded. So schools and state-funded entities and departments is what we're talking about. All right, listen, you guys, coming up next, you got a replay of the interview with our Attorney General, Steve Marshall, who was in studio with us last week. I'm headed to be the MC for the Eagle Forum's annual dinner. Phil Williams, Rightside Radio. Y'all have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.